Township of Pohatcong, regular monthly meeting, Tuesday, October 21st, 2021.
More important things to do.
Okay, we're ready.
Good to go? I'll call a meeting to order. Adequate notice has been given to the express times and Star Gazette satisfying the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act. If we could now stand for a moment of silence, please, and a flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, good evening, everyone. We need the approval of the minutes for, oh, no, we did actually. Yeah. Come on, I gotta pay attention. All right, I need approval of the minutes for September 21st meeting. Has everybody had a chance to take a look at it? Anybody have any comments on them? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve them.
The only thing I wanted to add, and just for my report, is with regard to the description of the warehouse. It's a last mile distribution warehouse versus last mile warehouse.
Okay.
Just to give it some context. But I'll move it forward with that amendment. Second, so.
Okay, Babinski, you have to abstain. Okay, Gray?
Yes.
Melvin?
Yes.
Stillo?
Yes.
Slack?
Yes. Okay, motion to pay bills. Payment of bills presented in proper form, signed by the director of each department, and approved by the majority of the members and listed on the bill list. Anyone have any questions or problems with their bills? Anything on the bill list they'd like to comment on?
I had a question on the 700 plus, leased vehicle rental, and something about drugs. And she said the chief was gonna be here, but it's gonna be late, so I just wondered what that was about. It was right underneath larceny.
I think that's just the vehicle for the detectives.
When the chief gets here anchored, as part of his report, ask him that if he wants. So we'll leave that,
I had a question just about the nitrile gloves. There's 2 boxes. How big are those boxes for $429?
probably 2 cases, but I wonder where they were for as well downstairs, you think?
Yeah. I mean, if there's like thousands, then it's fine, but you know.
All right, so,
Those gloves are cheap.
Yeah.
We use them all, we buy boxes and boxes of them a week.
Yeah, me too.
So,
do you want to wait on the bills until the chief can address these 2 issues? We'll do it at the end of the meeting or in the middle of the meeting?
I would prefer.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
All right, so we're going to hold off on the bills until the chief's here to answer some of our questions.
Wanda, maybe you can answer this one. Phoenix Advisors, I know it's a professional service, is that a,
They're the company that does our bond reporting for us.
We need that.
All right, so we're going to hold the bills. We'll actually do it when we do motions. Hopefully the chief will be here by that time. Public comments at this time. Anyone having public comment pertaining to agenda items and agenda items only, please come forward, sign in, and make public comment. Seeing none, we're going to shift things around a little bit here. We have a proclamation we'd like to present tonight. We won't make everybody stay through the duration of the meeting if they don't care to. So at this time, I would like to ask Mrs. Sickles and any of your family to please come forward. Councilman Melvin, will you bring a hand with this? Okay, proclamation to honor the memory of Robert A. Sickles Jr. with sincere appreciation of his decades of dedication, service to the Township of Pohatcong and the Huntington Volunteer Fire Department. Whereas Robert A. Sickles Jr., Bob, was the man of many talents, honest integrity, and very active in the community. And whereas Robert first joined the Huntington Volunteer Fire Department on April 1st, 1990, served as lieutenant from 1993 through 1995. And whereas Robert was made captain in 1997 and as assistant chief from 1998 through 2000. And whereas Robert was selected as fire chief and served in that position from 2001 through 2005. And whereas Robert was a past treasurer and was the president of the Huntington Volunteer Fire Department in 2006, and was a past secretary of the Fire Company Relief Association, of which he was a life member. And whereas Robert was honored with the Old Timers Award in 2018, and was honored with the Fireman of the Year Award in 1993, 1999, and 2009. And whereas he also served as the Township of Cohascon's as Deputy Emergency Management Coordinator and 911 Coordinator from 1996 through 2018. And whereas at the time of his death, Bob was active as the Assistant Fire Chief and Training Officer, showing his knowledge with new recruits to ensure that they were properly trained and prepared. Whereas he was also the current president of the New Jersey State Exempt Firemen's Association and current president of Cohaston Township Past Chiefs Advisory Board. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and town council of the Township of Cohaston, along with the residents of the township, appreciate all the contributions Robert made to the Township of Cohaston until the time of his passing on August 14th, 2021. Now, therefore, be it further resolved that the mayor and council offer our sincere condolences and appreciation to his wife Shirley and daughters Tracy and Tammy and family for all the time Robert devoted to the Township of Cohaston. At this time, we would like to present you with the flag that flew here at the municipal building in remembrance of Bob for all the years he dedicated to the Huntington Volunteer Fire Company and to the township. Our deepest condolences. We're sorry for your loss. Okay. Next, we'd like to move on to the attorney's report. Kevin, what do you have for us this evening?
Well, first, Mrs. Sickles, my condolences. I've been the township attorney here for, Jesus, almost a quarter century, and I worked with your husband on many, many issues over the years, and actually, frankly, on fire issues, he was more knowledgeable than I was. I used me for a resource. He was a true gentleman, and again, my sympathies. He was a fantastic guy to know and work with. So, beyond that, I think, Mayor, you're going to sign the auction agreement tonight with Mass Payne on the surplus property.
Did see it already.
We will, again, some of those properties will probably pull out of the auction. There's some small pieces we may offer to adjoining property owners, but at least we can get that process started. A question came up, and I didn't even realize we still had it, but we have a code development fee ordinance on the books. It's kind of antiquated in my opinion. This is back in the days when we actually had a council on affordable housing that don't exist. We're really addressing our co-obligations in large tract development, so on and so forth. We have on the books now, we have a resident who's building just a single family house. our ordinance requires a 1% development fee on the equalized assessed value of that. So, you know, on a $300,000 or $400,000 house, that's an extra $3,000 or $4,000 we have to pay. There was a time and place for that. In my view, I think in a small township like this is something we could probably do away with. I bring that to your attention, but there's one guy out there who's gonna have to pay it, but if we abolish it, we can get it back. It's up to you guys what you think about that, but I know it's so expensive to live here in the city of Jersey as it is. I think those fees were imposed upon us under the old COA scenario. They're not mandated. Commercial development, yes, there's automatic 2.5%, that's by state, federal, state statute. But I just, I hate to see tagging and it also applies to, decks, other additions and things, if you exceed 10% of the half. I just hate to see us, you know, pursuing residents like that, so I would
So is it a situation
think about abolishing that.
we need to consider abolishing it? Or
That's
does
what I
it
would do.
need to be amended to just be, because when you say commercial,
Commercial statutory, automatic,
what's the definition of commercial?
anything that's not residential, absolutely.
Okay,
Anything-
so what about, for example, EAI?
Oh, yeah. Well, EAI is an affordable project, so they're already giving us affordable units, so they would be exempt. But like this, this warehouse development, they will pay 2.5% to us of the equalized assessed value. It's gonna be a huge number.
Right.
And that's my other point. We're gonna end up, if and when we redevelop the Phillipsburg Mall, if we're gonna end up with very substantial 7-figure development fees and not even know what to do with it.
And they have a sunset clause, right? You have to use them in a certain amount of time?
There's not a sunset clause, I got rid of that. But my point is I think we're gonna be fine just getting those fees from commercial people without tagging our residents or just trying to develop a. And the other thing is you have a separate ordinance on the books that if the subdivision came through of 8 or more units, and again, it'd be hard to figure out where one of those might go. If something like that happened, we could get a fee there. But I just,
That's what I'm looking for, is a threshold,
Yeah,
right? I
I
agree with
think-
you, we don't want to go
Yeah.
after townspeople who have a dream of building a house and
one
stuff like
house,
that.
one addition.
Yeah.
If you guys are okay with that, I'll develop that ordinance to repeal that part of that ordinance. And what I'll do, if you guys are okay with that, if there's a consensus, you guys okay with that, guys? Then I'm gonna tell them, I'm gonna tell Jen not, that to go ahead and let it go on this one, because we're gonna repeal that. That makes sense?
I don't think they've been collected anyway on single
I was just gonna
families
say-
because my understanding is from years past, council never wanted to go after an individual family building a
I kinda raised
single
that when I was
family.
reading emails, I'm like, I don't even know. See, what happened was, now we've gone over to the state, and the state has a checklist.
Checklist,
And
right.
they're following these things, so, okay.
But I think it's been a
Yeah.
long, long time,
All
Kevin.
right, so I'll take care of that, and I think that makes a lot of sense for us. On the mall, we got our check, everybody's got their checks in, we haven't gotten the transcripts yet. We have a January date for Breeze, but that might get extended a little bit. So that's gonna be next year before we get that decision. On the quarry, I did receive just my email, I haven't looked at it yet, but just today, as a courtesy, I had the draft quarry ordinance, the updated quarry licensing ordinance that I had prepared. We sent that to land use board as a courtesy, also sent it to the quarry attorney, just to get their comments. I actually got comments back, so I'll circulate that to you guys and we'll go from there. I think that's reasonable. The other thing on the quarry, I wanted to make you guys aware of, again, they applied under our current licensing statute for renewal. That's fine, they're entitled to do that. I think their license is up at the end of the year, so that was fine. But I did see on there, they do have the wrap, the asphalt aggregate shown on their application. And I just alerted Wayne, and I will indicate to you guys, unless and until that's approved by land use board, I don't think that's gonna be approvable by us as part of the licensing application. Because that's basically an expansion of their use, so that's gonna have to go to land use board. So I think what we'll end up doing is probably tabling the licensing review until land use board acts, which I understand, I talked about today with Wayne, I don't think they still don't have their Highlands exemption back.
First meeting in November right now.
Okay.
Yeah, Wayne Alex had a Highland project.
Yeah. Beyond that, I think we're in good shape, heading into the end of the year. Anybody have any questions, concerns, comments for me? Oh, as I was talking off the record before the start of the meeting, guys, I'm trying to get that subdivision accomplished with the school, with that piece of property, but it turns out, it's looking like when I was asking Wayne for just the prior deed information, that you have to put your recitals in the new deed. Well, Wayne didn't have the deeds, which kind of was surprising. And so I asked my searcher to get them, and as we're starting to unwind this, it's looking increasingly like we actually own most of the school's property, pursuant to a deed dating back to 1995. And they actually own a small piece pursuant to a separate deed. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but instead of us getting a deed from them, we might actually have to give them a deed for what we're not keeping, if you understand what I'm saying. So I'm just trying to get to the bottom of that. Once I do, I have the contact information from Green Acres to talk about some potential swaps.
Has it been that long since that school was built? 95?
I don't know,
When
it
the school
was built in 2000, or it was done in
Or-
2000,
It was about 95,
or
yeah.
95, I think, when everything's
That's
customized.
fine.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm wrapping my head around is how can it go from 78, where they owned it, then to Anello family, they owned it, and then to us, and then, because how to get to us and then the school? I mean, how did we get in the picture when we had nothing to do with anything? I guess that's why I'm confused.
I'm guessing, and again, this is pure kind of guess, in between my title work and what Diane Landry, the principal administrator was. She's been around a long time, so she has some background. I think it sounds like we probably started condemnation against the 78 entity.
Okay.
And somewhere along the line, we reached an agreement, instead of actually going to condemnation, we must have paid them something, and it's in the deed, and they conveyed it.
Okay.
Now, but that's like probably 85 or 90% of the problem. Then there was a little piece, which I believe is probably down closer to the highway.
Yep.
That was conveyed by the separate deed.
Okay.
So the town owns probably the bottom piece of the property, maybe some of the parking lot, but all that piece, what we're trying to get that to, I think we actually still own it. I'm assuming there was probably an intent to convey that to the Board of Education, and it just never happened.
Okay.
I would also point out that even though I've been here for a long time, that predates me. So I'll get it straightened out and we'll get that taken care of, hopefully by next meeting. Because I actually asked the board attorney, like, hey, can you straighten this out? Can you give me the deeds? And they're as confused as everybody else. So I'm gonna take care of it. We'll get it all straightened out for their benefit and ours.
Can you talk a little bit about, I sent that letter out about treatment of Donna Cohen made from Shimer School? Then,
Oh, yes. So, on Shimer School, the gentleman who purchased that from us at auction, would like to pursue redevelopment, and that's fine. I think we already did that study. We designated it as an area of redevelopment. And he would like to start working on that, and that's fine. But generally speaking, it's the developer's cost to prepare the redevelopment study and all that type of thing. And we've done this in the past, and you guys know, I always say, hey, that should not be on the residents' expense, that should go to the developer's expense. So I just circulated a draft escrow agreement. I suggested an initial escrow of 10,000, which is probably more than that if it can't be, because our planner, Jim Kyle, is very reasonable with his studies and all those things. And we really need to get that in place, get the escrow deposit, and then we can get a committee and start working on that.
He's already committed to the plan,
Yeah.
and we already have a subcommittee meeting scheduled
Yeah.
for 2 weeks.
Okay, so let's just-
Kyle a couple times the other day, yeah, he wants,
Yeah.
I don't need to talk about it now, he wants to do something I think will need to be modified, let's just put it that way, it's a little too.
Yeah, it's a little too excessive.
Yeah.
I'm aware of that too. I
Yeah.
did talk to Jim. He wants to do a little bit of multi-story residential.
Yeah.
That's fine, but I just want to make sure before we get going, because don't forget, it's not.
Well, it's two things, it's at a very focal point of the town,
Yeah.
and we have to think of all the residents that live up there,
Right.
buy that building, you can't jam it in with.
Right. And I don't want to see, and we'll be getting some COA out of that, affordable housing. Jim's going to insist on that, our planner, which is good. And I just want to make sure that Jim's time thing is paid for by the developer. So I did circulate a draft redevelopment or escrow agreement. I wasn't really sure what the name of this entity is, so I asked him to fill it out and get it back to us with a check. And I will follow up with that, and then we can have our meetings and go from there. Okay. The great thing about the redevelopment, it'd be nice because the old school, it does need to be redeveloped, but it also is going to greatly help you guys as residents and taxpayers, because I think that gentleman is interested in what they call a pilot program, and just as we're opening the warehouse, it will help you guys with your tax base. So I'm looking forward to working with them, and the escrow's out.
Thank you, Kevin.
Just a quick note to the subcommittee, if they are gonna modify that too much, we were interested in that cupola. And the weather
Oh,
bridge. So, I saw
It's
it.
a story for you.
Go put it on your house? or-
No, for the township, not on
My
mine.
identification stuff is all okay, you guys can on that site.
Yeah, why not?
More petty, yeah.
Maybe it'll stop some of the leaking.
Yeah.
I have
All right.
something to add. We got the check today from Walmart to pay the snow plowing
Oh.
bill
That was my
I
other
can add to
question.
that, yes, so. I got your check.
today.
The other thing is, again, in a sense, I do feel a bit bad for them. Because they have been, as many people and developers have been in this county, unfortunately, is that they've been abused by the county engineer's office.
This is Walmart?
Walmart. So what's going on there is Walmart is actually a ground tenant. They're the owners of the property, it's a consortium of many people. So when they built that project, they built the extension of Bliss, we also built the extension of Green Street. We've been essentially satisfied with the Bliss improvement for nearly a decade now. But the county engineer's office just will not sign off on Green Street in terms of accepting the improvement. And the initial idea was that Green Street and Bliss would be accepted for temporary use. At this point, with the warehouse issue, is Kevin, you brought this up before and everything else, what I've suggested, and I think Wayne's already doing it, or maybe has done it, let's do a final inspection on our street, which is Bliss. Make them do any upgrades or reconstructions, been around for a while, it's been sitting there. And then we can accept that, you know, it's been dedicated, but it hasn't been formally accepted. It will become a public road officially, and then we can move forward from there. And I think we're following that process. I mean, they've had $1 million+ performance bond for like years. And they've asked for it to be released, and I keep saying, we can't really release it. Now, we can reduce it, because part of that is other things that are done. So that's where we are. I'm hoping maybe before the end of the year, we can accept that deed we have to do that by way of formal resolution. They'll have to post a maintenance bond, and whatever Wayne says needs to be, you know, cracks, this, that, whatever needs to be upgraded, we'll do. Okay,
So what about Greenwich Street?
I honestly don't know. You know, as I said, I along with many others, and I think I know Ingrid, I mean, we've all said, the most dysfunctional aspect of this county is the county engineer's office. I don't know what else to say beyond that. I don't know when they're ever gonna get off the schneid on that one, but I don't really think, in fairness to the developer at this point, we should hold our place. It's just been like years. So that's what,
Well,
and it also is important for the warehouse.
yeah, and that's what their, Corey Chiefs, their engineer, traffic engineer, has said, that they're so far out of compliance
Yes.
that they're gonna get forced to make that right.
So
Guys, Jeff.
Mayor, I did speak to Wayne today, he was working on all that stuff from last Thursday. And we went over what I thought and what he thought needed to be done. So he seemed to think that it is gonna be done by the end of the year.
Hopefully we can get it resolved.
Listen, it's not a question of money, they've always been one, they've paid this one took a little longer, but they've always paid every snowplow bill we've ever given them. They have not been on the fly, it's not really been just a question of, we were trying to do it contemporary, we were trying to coordinate and work with our fellow governmental entity, i.e. the county, and it get to the point where that's just not working.
Get tired of banging your head
We need to
against.
send them a letter. We need to send the commissioners a letter and ask for some support enforcing the engineer's office to act on this.
I probably will in conjunction with this, but I've talked to Jim, our former mayor, many times. They're aware of the issue, and they just really haven't taken the steps. to do
Maybe we just need to make a paper trail though, just to show this.
I will send them a letter when we get ready to accept Bliss, saying, hey, guys, we're doing this, we're trying to work in coordination with you, but that's not working. You might want to look at this.
Wasn't there a comment that the county made that maybe we don't want to accept it now or
Can
something?
they not do that? I mean, it's.
I heard that comment float around before.
No, Wayne said it at a meeting.
Yeah, it's very nice.
All right, anything else for Kevin? If not, Wayne's not here this evening. Kevin touched on some of the things, and Wayne did have a report he had turned in, correct, Wanda? Everybody had gotten a copy of that?
Yes, sir.
So if anybody has any questions, direct them to Wayne's email, I guess. Moving on to town council reports. I guess we'll start with Councilman Babinski.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to say too, and I'd say to all you guys out there, I knew Bob 20 years or more. When I was there, I remember we had that flood, and he was the OEM coordinator, I guess, at the time, and how good, I learned a lot from him, I had a lot of respect for him. He was really good and calm and collected. We were in the firehouse, and the firehouse was surrounded by water, and it was coming up, and, you know, he was just a great guy. We'll miss him all. Maybe you guys could tell Mrs. Sickles out, I kinda wanted to tell her that, but, you know. Now I gotta read this, okay. So the DPW report from September 21st to October 19th. They did daily yard maintenance, they pushed up the brush pile, they continued roadside mowing. This is the start of the third round of mowing, I guess that's the end, right, Jeff?
Yeah.
And, did hot patch sections of roadways that had potholes. They started to scratch pave areas of the roadways in Franklin Street Annex. They paved lower sections of North Street, a dead end off of Shimer Boulevard, cleaned and checked drainage before and after heavy rains, started picking up the leaves uptown in Huntington, Parkside, and Shimer Manor. Serviced police vehicles, 7515, 751, 755, and 7518. They rotated tires. They serviced the fire chief's vehicle. They welded a section of exhaust pipe that rotted out on DPW truck number 10. They lined Huntington Field, football field weekly, fabricated and welded a new step for the 444H loader that had rotted off. They hauled Gabion and DGA stone to Ravine Road to repair the washout section of roadway from Hurricane Ida. They'd like to thank Walt Van Loo for helping with using his bulldozer to move excess stone inside the tunnel at no charge to the township. They used approximately 250 tons of stone material from Riverline Aggregates for the repair of Ravine Road. I'd also like to thank Riverline Aggregates for the material free of charge. We had the roadside mower repaired by Fast Weld, the tires repaired by Performance Tire, the rear wheel broke off the hub again. They weed whacked along the guardrails throughout the township. They put up no trucks beyond this point sign on Carpentersville Road and autistic child signs up on the corner of High and Lee Avenue and Powhatan and Lee Avenue. Put up a street sign on Ohio and Middlesex that has gone missing, or had been missing. They cut up and chipped a tree across the roadway on Mountain Road. They replaced light bulbs in the court clerk's office. They went to Washington DMV for the fire company to register and title the rescue truck. They took BJ from Peterson Tree Service to show them 2 areas where we need to take 2 trees down in the township. That's it.
All right, thank you, Steve.
Yep.
Ingrid.
Okay, regarding the Shimer store, Wanda forwarded to council members the update from Kurt Rice informing the approval by the State Historic Preservation Association of its plans. I stopped by Hoots on Sunday and talked to Corey Woolbach. He's working through a final punch list, and he will let us know when an opening date comes up. It's figuring a couple weeks.
Place is beautiful.
Yeah, he's always there working on it.
Rode my
Make,
bike.
make sure if he does the Rubin code, will that be all?
Yeah,
He's gonna back me a text when we're ready to talk about that, and
That's the last place I think this would have done
Years ago.
He's done a fabulous job. I ride my bike past there. It's just gorgeous.
he's always there.
Yeah.
Okay, and so right next door to that, if you've been by, you might have noticed that there's a cement foundation that's been erected, and that is actually the railroad's doing. That's gonna be the reconstruction of the Riegelsville Depot, which is partially funded with the County Historical Preservation Grant. And the thing is, they were awarded that almost 2 years ago, and they needed to get started on that so they wouldn't lose their grant money. But that will be eventually the reconstruction of the Riegelsville Depot, which had burned down years ago. Regarding Shimer Mansion, we're really encouraged because the sewer, water, and gas lines have been mapped out. We have a track hoe on site. The driveway was regraded, and we created a wider parking area. We're getting a dumpster next week, which will be filled with removal of interior materials such as rotted flooring and so forth. And we are having our fundraising yard sale this Saturday. The Historical Commission meeting was not held due to a lack of quorum. I attended the County Scenic Byway Commission meeting last night, and the Cohasset spur was discussed, and they were really excited about it. But it was noted that because the section of 519 goes through Alpha, they can't really finalize it until they approach Alpha. So we're going to be approaching Alpha to get approvals on that. The County Health Department is not responding to requests for Cohasset Health Department reports. I checked through my records, and the last one I received was September 15th of 2020. And I sent Pete Summers a letter and said, you know, this is the last time I got one, and can you please send me when I have a meeting? And I heard absolutely nothing, so I don't know what you want to do about that. It would be nice to know what's going on here, because we've heard some things in the past from those reports about activities in the township that were going on. What do you think about that?
If I get him on another county call, I'll talk to him. He's always on the county calls for COVID. They haven't done any recently.
Yeah, initially, he said he was really too busy with COVID, but now that's all wound down, so, whatever. I had a scheduling conflict and did not attend the SWAC meeting, the Solid Waste Advisory Commission meeting. Sunday, November 7th is the annual Night Before the Tour fundraiser for the Cohasset History and Heritage Society at Albert Vineyard. It starts at 5:30. I don't know if you've gotten any invitations from the Historical Society. It should be kind of nice. It'll be food, wine, and music, and auction items.
What's the date of that?
That's Sunday, November 7th, 5:30 at Albert Vineyard.
It'll be out of state.
Oh, darn it. I'm traveling down. Regarding the Banana Farms property, Mark Peck has been absolutely wonderful. He created waivers, and our metal detector DJOs went there, and he scanned the property and found many interesting historical items there, which he has identified. He's absolutely amazing at buttons, and you find metal objects, you don't know what they are, and he knows what they are. If he doesn't know, he has a network, and he can say, what is this? So he's got a box full for us, for the township. And this is important because we have metal detecting people that come in, detect, and walk off with historical objects. In fact, Mike Margulies encountered somebody about 3 weeks ago over at Shimer Mansion. And it's an association from Pennsylvania of metal detectors going over there poking around. I got some calls about that sign you mentioned, Steve, on Carpentersville Road, just over 78 interchange there, the overpass, about that sign directing trucks onto Overlake that was put up.
I didn't say about that.
Oh, I thought you said
No.
signs were put up.
No, that wasn't me.
Oh,
No, in the report.
I'm sorry?
The DPW put it up.
Oh.
yeah, I think you read that.
Okay. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, well, I think the concern is directing trucks on Overlake would deteriorate that road, because if you've been down Snyder's Road in the past year, the conditions of it have changed. It's like a washboard now from the increased truck traffic, and that's a county road. can't do anything about that, but they were concerned about the truck traffic being directed onto Overly Road rather than to stay on
Right.
High Street and go out to 519 and come around.
Mhm.
There'll be like no quarry traffic on this road. So I don't know what you want to do about that. Anything?
The problem with that is, the sign was put up, well, one, I forget the resident's name that came to the last meeting.
Oh, Mr. O'Rourke.
Yeah, he brought up that the trucks, so the GPS is routing trucks somehow up High Street to Carpentersville, and they're going down into Carpentersville, and that's the major complaint.
Mhm.
So, of course, we don't want trucks there, period, but if they do, the sign was put up as a deterrent so that they don't go down into Carpentersville. It's not, the sign wasn't put up to be hey, everybody come this way. It was more of a deterrent for when they do come, don't go down through the residential neighborhood so we can limit the complaints that we have.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
But those roads aren't, and Jeff will bear this out, those roads aren't really even paved, they're just kind of like asphalt over dirt.
Mhm.
You know, there's no base underneath them, Winters Road's the same way, you know,
Really?
they will wear out pretty fast.
There's a weight limit on High Street anyway to start with, isn't
30.
there? Yeah,
On the
the
bridge.
railroad bridge.
Yeah, but they're coming up, Mary, from South Main on
Right.
that trestle, past Agway.
They're coming that way too.
They're in,
I follow them,
Wow.
yeah.
it's not like they're coming full, but they're in.
Where are they trying to get to, you suppose, Jeff, by going that way?
I guess that's where their GPS is taken. Same way we have them trying to come down 173 on the Ravine Road.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, we put signs up. I haven't seen any trucks lately, but there for a while, everybody and their brother. Heck, we had a salt delivery that got hung up down there on Stockers Bridge,
Mhm.
trying to go over the bridge.
All right, let's see. At the Lower Delaware Management Council meeting on September 23rd, which I attended, it was announced that grant money would become available, and you can apply for it beginning October 15th for any environmental projects, whether it involves water testing, erosion, observing erosion, water quality, plantings, whatever, and I passed that on to Eric Warson of the Environmental Commission. And lastly, regarding quarry, I had received a complaint from a resident in Antifreeze and an oil spill near the intersection of Snyder and River Roads. I called the manager, Bill Godfrey, left a message, and he immediately called back, and he came out and cleaned it up. And he also responded to a recent complaint about rocks and mud at the same intersection, and he cleaned it up immediately. And then he later called me back to say that it wasn't quarry, mud, and rocks, because the tire prints were not wide enough to match the tires on quarry trucks, so I don't know about that. So anyway, he's responded to cleanups.
I understand you got a tour the other day?
I did, how'd you know about that?
Go to Mr. Godfrey.
Huh. Well, and on that line then, on my tour, that huge pile that was identified as rat, he told me was just rock dust.
Stone dust, is that what they call
Stone
it?
dust, yeah.
The rap's already been made into a parking lot. Did he show you the huge parking lot illegally made? That's where all your rap went.
Kind of out of order, Mr. Snyder, so let's just move on when we get to public
I'm
comment.
done.
Thank you, Ingrid. Nothing else? Kevin?
Start off first with the court reports. For the AdCom, month of September, 220 complaints, traffic complaints issued, 250 traffic complaints were disposed, 24 criminal complaints were issued, and 21 were disposed. The deposit to the municipal treasury for the month was $7,271.92, for a year-to-date total of $59,340.26. For the Greenwich Court, traffic complaints issued was 227, disposed was 266, criminal complaints was 19, criminal complaints disposed was 27, for a monthly total to the treasury of $7,720.92, for a year-to-date total of $59,682.07. with regard to, the, fire department, there's a new rescue truck that was purchased, new to us, I should say, rescue truck. It was a used, good quality used one. In fact, we're lucky enough that the rescue, department has brought the truck here this evening, so if we get done early enough, it's a motivation maybe to go out and take a look at, the chief, sent me over some pictures, and it looks great. So it's already been re-tagged, repainted. I do have to get the story behind the beaver, though. I didn't catch that. I saw it on the side there. So I want to get some, maybe it's an extraction thing, I don't know, but I definitely piqued my interest. And then from a land use board, I guess, follow-up to the quarry item that was just mentioned, the October 25th meeting, they're actually going to be doing tours for members of the land use board at the quarry in shifts. So that meeting will be kind of dedicated to that. So the meeting itself has been postponed, as was earlier mentioned, that the Highlands approval has not come through yet. However, we're taking advantage of that time to do tours of the quarry so that prior to the application coming forward, that can be viewed by the land use board for that tour. Yeah, he's actually the one, I think, who recommended it and put it forward. And then Chief, I don't know if there's anything from the police or OEM side that you want to speak to?
Since last meeting, we had 1,194 calls for service. We conducted 402 radar/traffic details throughout the town where there's traffic complaints. The officers stopped 610 cars for the month, and they wrote 251 either traffic summonses or warnings to the individuals they stopped. We had 24 criminal arrests. We had 26 motor vehicle accidents. And that was it for the stats. We did get a request. I know they sent I got an email from a town resident. We're supporting Breast Cancer Awareness Month. All of our officers have pink badges on their uniform, and if they're wearing their hat, they had those also on their hat. But we had a resident that requested, I guess it's also, I don't know if I'm saying it right, but maybe loss of a child month as well. So she requested that I have the lights outside of the police department that we can change colors. We had them pink, and she requested that we put them pink and blue to also observe that for the month. So we changed that over just to assist her with the grieving that she has. We have Trunk or Treat on October 29th that we're going to be participating at the Black Pond School. It's from 6 to 7 at the school. It's nice to actually see that it's coming back with COVID, so it's pretty good. If anybody hasn't seen, please visit Facebook. K9 Zeus is trying to win some grant money. He needs all the votes he can, so please go and vote. You can vote every day if you want. He can get up to $10,000 from the company. Last year, I think he got $2,500, but they're trying to get a little bit better this year. So,
What website, Chief? Where do you do that?
Oh, it's on our Facebook.
On your
page.
Facebook,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
It's called, I think it's called Aftermath.
Okay.
They support the K9 units throughout the country, and last year we competed in the country, and we ended up being able to get $2,500 from them, so it helped out tremendously. OEM side, I did finalize for the winter storm. Finally, we got through with that. The final tally was $31,000 that the town will be getting back. It's a little over $31,000 that the town will be getting back for the storm. So with all the calculations, that covers our costs and then some for what was put out of pocket, because they pay us for the use of the cars and the trucks and everything else. So the submission was a little over $40-some thousand, but we only get 75% of that is the rules for that storm. We had a little hiccup with COVID. We got a grant that the CFO's office got, and then we put in a grant money for FEMA request, but they sort of
blocked each other out. So we got the one that the CFO's office got, but we got denied the FEMA, so, because they basically said we were asking for the money twice. So unfortunately, that was about $12,000, but I know we got 19 back. So, we didn't get that one. The last storm, Ida, we weren't able to get anything, because the county originally wasn't eligible, and then we fixed the road, for minimal cost to the town. It really was no cost out of pocket. So we're talking with Wayne Ingram, it wasn't worth his time or the expense, that for what we would have gotten back, that it wasn't, me and him decided it wasn't worth submitting, because we would have been in the red, we wouldn't have gotten anything back, so. COVID, I mean, it's the Delta variant's out, it's there, it's not as prevalent as it was in the beginning, but it's still a concern, but we got it pretty good here right now with how the rules are at the building, so we're okay. And I'll keep monitoring that.
And then the only thing just to add, is that Councilman Still and myself have been involved with the PBA negotiations. We've had our initial conversations, there's been some proposals and counter proposals, some of which we'll discuss tonight in executive session. And that's it for me now.
Thank you.
I have a question for Kevin.
Sure.
What's going on at the land use board level with regards to the B&B in Verbo?
Yeah, so,
And then
at the last meeting or the meeting prior, Ingrid, we, basically, it's gonna be a mini re-exam so that we can open it up and not have to do notice to the entire township. So that's something that we've started the process on, undertaking, and Jim Kyle is working that up currently. And then we'll be able to adjust any of these ordinances, including the livestock ordinance, the Airbnb, the quarry ordinance, all of these things that have been sort of dangling out there, that instead of the township having to notice every single person, resident, we can do it through a re-exam with one notice kind of thing.
what's your timeline for that?
We're shooting before the end of the year.
Thanks.
And I sent all of our samples and drafts, Jim and I have been coordinating as well, so he has all that stuff. So, yeah, if the exam gets done this year, I would say we may run out of time because you can't carry ordinances over from first to second reading between the end of the year and start of the next, but we'll certainly get.
We have only 2 more meetings.
Yeah, so we'll probably have to do the ordinances next year, early next year, but as long as the re-exam gets done this year, we'll be in good shape.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
I got a quick question, and maybe I missed it, but we're gonna do executive session tonight? Is it gonna encompass that letter from Alpha about the cameras? Do we wanna talk to the chief about that now? Want to do an executive?
Talk about it now?
Yeah, I can talk about it.
Yeah.
So, where that letter came from,
Mm-hmm.
and why it even came to you guys is originally the Phillipsburg Police asked me if I'd be interested in a camera project. And I said, well, I would if I had the seizure money to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so we went through the whole process. We went and got the quotes, we rode around with the company, we picked out the locations. And the project was gonna cost $58,000 to complete between Alpha and Cohatcom. There'd be one server, that we were gonna host, and then that would allow us to have cameras on High Street, 519 down near the school, 519 up near Quick Check, near the three-way intersection of South Main and all those areas, Huntington for entry and exit of the town, just to assist us with any investigations that we need, and as a deterrent as well. So Alpha took it and went and put it towards the capital funding for this year. I didn't get the funding that I wanted to because I had to do other things with it. So I told them that we need to put it on the back burner for us. But I think that Mayor Dunwell was under the impression that you guys were even aware of it. I wasn't trying to hide it from you. It just was a program it was a wish list program, that I would like to get, but it wasn't priority. So I don't know why the letter came to you guys, but.
I don't know. I was annoyed with the last line that said that we're holding Alpha up. You know,
That's,
a little annoyed.
yeah.
That's not the first time.
I mean, if Alpha wants to proceed, they can, it's just gonna
Yeah,
cost them more money.
we're holding them up.
And I did try to reach out to Mayor Dunwell the other day, and I've never received a call back. So, and I left him my cell phone number and the office line, and I didn't get a call.
That's because he doesn't have a phone anymore, he said. And there was another letter that came, am I right or wrong? There's another
Took it
letter
away yet.
that said he doesn't have a phone anymore.
Oh, all right, all right. So that's where that came from. It was more of a wish list thing, but they.
It's all right, so I just want to know your feelings on it.
Yeah, I would love the
That's
project, but
that's a lot of
it's just-
money though for us.
Yeah, but it's just, again, it's the wish list.
Mhm.
So if we had a big hit on the seizure money, well, then that would be ideal.
Mhm.
It would be something we could do, but right now it's just not feasible.
Right.
So if we don't move forward, Alpha's kind of dead in the water because we're gonna have the server here then, correct?
Well, they could do their own, they could do their own.
own?
It's just the original project was gonna be, we were gonna house the server. They would have access to it.
Okay.
But the one problem that I was gonna have with it is I needed to know who was gonna have access.
Right.
Because it's not going to be, it's for police.
Well, it'd be Phillipsburg would have the access.
Right,
It
but-
wouldn't be Alpha, it'd be
Right.
Phillipsburg.
But there'd have to be a contract written that says who would have access to it, because they don't need somebody else logging in and having access to our
Right.
server. It would be a, computer security issue,
Mhm.
so. There was a lot of moving parts to it
Right.
that we didn't even get to discuss, so when I saw that
Yeah.
letter, I was like,
Now that you've explained it, it just didn't
Yeah.
seem that way when we got the initial.
oh no, I read the letter, and it was like, you guys already knew about it, and
Yeah.
what the heck you doing?
Good. Okay, I'm done. Thank you.
All right, John?
I'll be quick. We were talking about this more, number 13, but finance, the best practice inventory was completed by Joe and Wanda. And happy to say that we will not have any aid withheld. Our score was at 18.5, which is above the 15 number. So we'll not have any aid withheld for that. And then Joe just said that with the budget, we're winding down this year, but he's looking to start everything for next year. And so that process has started, and hopefully we'll have more information as we move forward with the budget for next year. That's all I have.
Now, is that something we have to do, supposed to do, we can do parts of, or what?
Best practice?
Yeah.
That's something that, we usually, what I was told, we just review and discuss it, it was emailed to us, and then any questions, a couple things on there, he said we got half a point for that, he's gonna work on to bring the number up, but,
Because there are things like, we're supposed to put in a public charging station for everybody with their cars to
right.
charge their cars here,
As long as we're over number 15, it doesn't, you wanna be over 15, because then you lose 80.
Yeah.
So he said we're in good shape, he says a couple things we can clean up, but that's about it.
Good. What's that?
I was just saying, I think you just gotta get over the threshold. The mayor asked
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
happened to that charging station in Wawa. I said, I think it's just been delayed, it's approved.
But that wasn't the question anyway, they wanted one
They
on
want charging
municipal
stations
property.
here.
Yeah.
On our
But,
township property.
As
Yes.
long as we, as Councilman Scola said, as long as we stay above.
No, I understand
threshold.
fully, yeah.
Yeah. So-
Yeah.
But we're kinda close. I mean, 18, 15, that's not.
Actually,
More is more, that's it.
it never implemented a reduction in state aid based upon best practices anyway. It's kind of just another round of paperwork that we have to do for no good reason. That was the concept initially, but there was pushback on that, and it's just become
Another
another
exercise.
exercise that poor Wanda has to do.
Yeah.
We never, nobody's lost any even if they don't come up with points, you know what I'm saying?
Really?
Yeah.
All right, thank you, John. Moving on to my report, I have very little to report, everybody's covered pretty much everything that's going on. One note though, Alpha, it has a land use board meeting tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Councilman Melvin and myself are going to attend. They have a proposed warehouse project situated on the south side of Route 78 off Edge Road in Alpha Borough. This could have a traffic impact on our town as to which way they're gonna route traffic in and out, whether it be Edge Road to 122 or Edge Road to Still Valley Road. So we've decided to go and listen. I've got some of the paperwork already that our engineer had gotten from the applicant's attorney, Mr. Peck. So I'm gonna forward that to Councilman Melvin, we're gonna review it and go tomorrow night and see what they have to say.
Interestingly enough, when I sent,
note to a few of you, is that it's not on their website, it's not as a meeting, it's not listed as a meeting on their website, it's not on their land use board page, there's no mention of this application anywhere that I can see when I look at their website today.
Well, the funny thing was, I got noticed, because I own land within 200 feet of it, and I never got the notice until last, when did I call you, Kevin, Thursday?
Yeah, literally, well, the statute requires 10 days notice, and they literally got it there on the last day.
So it's, I don't want to say it's under the radar, but we will go and listen and at least have public comment, at least in regards to the traffic issues that it could generate. All right, moving on. One other thing, Chief, when is trick or treat scheduled for the 31st here or
Yes.
7th?
We didn't finalize it yet, but that's.
Yeah, we did. It was on the last meeting, October 31st, 6 to 8.
6
It's on
to
our
8.
website, and I told Diane Mandry, so.
Okay.
Then we did finalize.
All
We're
right,
good.
very good. Resolutions, we have none.
We're gonna approve the bills now?
We'll put that on the motions. When we get all the motions, we can ask Chief about those two things that you were interested in. So John, you're saying we really don't need to do number 13,
Nope.
review and discussion?
Nope, we're good.
We're covered there, all right. Ordinances for first reading, we have none. Ordinances for second reading, ordinance 21-06, adopting a redevelopment plan pursuant to the local redevelopment and housing law, NJSA 40A-12A-1 at Seek, for a property located at lot 504, block 93. Which property was this? This is the High Street? Okay, this is the proposed apartment complex.
Across from the other apartments.
Yep.
All right, so we're gonna open ordinance 2106 up for public hearing. Any motion for
I'll move
that?
that forward.
So moved.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody has any public comments that they'd like to make on this ordinance, please come forward.
This will be a apartment complex, there will be a 20% set aside, so again, it's helping us with our affordable housing obligations. And this plan was put together by our planner, Jim Kyle, working with the developer. Again, this is another example where we have an escrow agreement in place, we have escrow money, the developer has actually paid for this. Once this is adopted, if we close and adopt tonight, we'll start working on a redevelopment agreement and a pilot payment in lieu of tax program, which is actually a tax payment, it's just not called a tax payment, but it's gonna end up, again, this is gonna be another example where you guys are being proactive on development, we're getting affordable housing, we're getting, and again, affordable housing is very, the limits are pretty high here in Warren County, so it's gonna be, you know, we're not talking about Section 8 housing, but it's gonna be mostly private, 80% will be, private units, 20% will be affordable units. We're gonna get a really nice tax payment out of this at the end of the day, and we're furthering our constitutional obligations to get some affordable housing, so it's a win-win as far as I'm concerned.
No comment?
Motion to close and adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Babinski?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Melvin?
Yes.
Stillo?
Yes.
Slack?
Yes. Okay, motions. We have two on the agenda, and we're gonna add a motion to pay bills after, Chief Rob addresses some of the questions we had, for him on the bill list.
What's the,
So let's do a motion in a second, and then we'll discuss the bill. All right?
So moved. I'd like to have some discussion about the first one. Is Mr. Flint in the audience by chance?
Yeah.
Can we just see, eyeball you? Stand up. All right, thank you.
We never see who you guys are, that's why.
You ought to
It's
make
like
him
just
come
a
to the
name,
meeting.
you know?
I know, we got him here.
Make him come to the meeting and we approve, at least we get to meet him once.
Now we can eyeball him. It's all right.
All right, we had a motion, do we have a second for that?
I'll second it.
That's everything, now we can discuss the bills.
All right. Chief, I had a question about on the bill list, there was a $429 for 2 boxes of
Nitro gloves.
nitro gloves. I
They
hope
better
it
be
was
big
two
boxes.
cases and not.
Two cases.
2 cases.
Not box.
Better not be a box.
I'm like, I'm gonna go to Harbor Freight. and-
Yeah, it's our yearly purchase. We were running out, so.
Yeah, that's all right.
And then Ingrid, you had one.
We have a vehicle rental for drugs, something, $700 some. What's that about?
I really can't discuss that. It's confidential. It was a vehicle rental for a narcotics investigation.
Oh, okay, I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can discuss that part, but I can't give you
Yeah.
nothing else.
And we certainly trust you, believe
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
that's
No,
not
no.
the issue, we're just
Yeah,
curious
so we
as
don't-
to what it was,
So we
you
don't
know?
have, I don't have the luxury of having, like undercover cars.
Right,
And we had an investigation that came in and we needed
they
it.
needed a car.
And every once in a while it happens. I think that might be the second time since I've been chief that we did it, but we do have to do it occasionally.
Mhm.
Great, Thank you.
Understood.
I'll make the motion to approve the bills as listed.
Second.
Okay, Babinski.
Yes.
Gray.
Yes.
Melvin.
Yes.
Stillo.
Yes.
Slack.
Did that also include the other 2
I was
motions?
gonna say, did that include the other 2 motions, I hope?
Yes. Approve them all.
Okay. All right.
Congratulations, Devlin.
All right, I am going to add an appointment, Wanda, that wasn't on our agenda, I apologize. It's an appointment to the Land Use Board as an alternate 1 member. The gentleman's name is John Fenimore. You can talk to Councilman Melvin, and he'll give you his contacts and info.
She's got it. She got them the marriage certificate.
Oh, okay, so you got it already then. Anyway,
Okay.
I'm gonna make that appointment to the Land Use Board.
Where's he from, Kev?
He's, Hartone's place.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's what I thought, yeah.
All right, so at this time, public comments on anything. Anybody has any public comment, please come forward, sign in, make public comment.
I just have one thing real quick.
Just come forward and sign in.
No, there's the-
We don't know who you are.
Yeah, what do you?
The mayor had a birthday 2 days ago. so
We're not
I wanna
singing.
wish
Happy
him
Oh,
birthday.
no birthday, come on. I'm good, thank you.
We should have a little birthday hat.
But once you get over 50, it just don't mean that much
You
anymore.
gotta go in reverse numbers now.
So true.
Devin Snyder. A couple questions, and 1 comment or 2. To answer your question, Dave, where are those trucks going on Carpentersville Road? They're going to the quarry. That's why all the complaints came in, that's why the new sign went up, they're going to the quarry.
Where are they coming from, Kevin? Explain
My
to me.
street, either from Alpha, I believe they're coming from South Main Street, coming up the hill. I'm not sure how they're getting to it.
So in
I don't
other words,
believe
they're
it's-
they're not coming in 519 like they've traditionally always done down Snyder's Road and then you're saying they're coming across Oberly via
Yeah, where
High
they put the
Street?
sign on Carpentersville Road right before you get between the bridge that goes over 78
Right,
and, Overly's Road, just before you get to it.
okay.
And I believe, that, I don't know if there's a weight limit, well, obviously there's a weight limit on the roads. I don't know if there's a weight limit on that little bridge or culvert just past Overly's Road was part of the concern, but the main concern is you can barely fit a car through River Road when people are home and cars are parked along there, much less a truck. Now, I have seen a couple tractor trailers come through that obviously aren't quarried, they're just lost with the GPS. But I know there was a lot of trucks and there was a lot of people in the uproar about that, but that's where the.
So hopefully the signage will prevent those trucks from coming down,
Well, I
ending
think-
up on River Road the wrong way.
Ingrid made a comment, and I think people are concerned also is, first of all, they shouldn't be on those roads at all. So to direct them to Overly's Road, and like the chief said, it's when trucks do get there, it's to go that way, but I think we need signage to keep them from coming at all before they even get to Carpentersville Road, before they go across 78 there. If they come up from South Main Street, or if they come out of Alpha, and come down the hill, there should be something maybe at the entrance of the road.
For whatever roads or township roads, I guess Jeff and chief, you will work on it and see if you can, if there's any
I
other.
mean, I haven't noticed this, I don't see them coming that way, they don't come by me, I see them when they come out, but I don't know how many are still coming through that way. I just know that's what the issue was.
And maybe we need a sign that specifically says quarry trucks take whatever, continue to.
Well, I guess that would be to direct trucks directly for the quarry, to the quarry, but I think the overall goal was no trucks down that way. I did see a tractor trailer come from that direction past my place from the quarry. I don't know if it came all the way through or if it had one down and was on its way back, but it definitely was a full-size tractor trailer coming through there. I don't know how those guys make it past the cars down there.
And Kevin and I have followed trucks going out of the quarry, turning on Overly Road and going down to South Main Street.
Yeah, I don't know, yeah, so that's totally separate issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're on their way to Lopat. I know that they're taking a lot of material from the quarry up to their asphalt plant. I think that's where a lot of the sand that they're bringing in is going. They're storing it at the quarry and then using it in their mix, if they use it in their mix. So I don't know how I've never followed them over to the Lopat plant. I just know there's a lot going in and out. So, my question, just a clarification, I didn't have that question, but to Kevin, you mentioned Monday's meeting for the, is canceled again? And that's when you're doing the tour?
They're doing them in shifts, so there's no quorum.
So it'll be during meeting time, like late in the evening?
It's starting earlier than that, because they want to do it, daylight. So I think,
Orange shift to 6 o'clock.
last shift is 6, so it'll be but I think it's like half-hour shifts starting around 5, in groups of like 3 or 4.
I know that had got mentioned to do that, I believe the attorney mentioned that, suggested that you guys do that. During the day would have been great, so you could actually see more of the truck traffic, not just what's going on down there. Typically, they've got the rock crusher running until at least 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. So I don't know if they've noted if it's still running when you get there, but it usually is every night. They're going, trucks are coming through, is normally by 6:30 in the morning, and then they're running the rock crusher till at least 6:30 at night. But they're coming in there until 8 o'clock at night and later. They also have traffic coming in and out of there from the trucks that don't work there, just the work trucks from their asphalt company that they use, that guys now park there and drive in and out of there. And they're coming in all times at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, it's been in sometimes. That really wasn't all my stuff, I just wanted clarification on that. Because we had heard that they hadn't got their variance.
It's the Highlands,
Yeah, the Highlands was holding them up. A couple meetings back, or during the meetings for the land use, for the Germana Farm property for the warehousing, that just got approved, completed in the last meeting or two. Bob Sickles had brought up the issues of the size of the building and the capacity of our fire equipment to be able to handle it. And I think their offer was to donate money to the fire department to buy a bigger truck, I assume a taller truck. Attorney said they can't do that during the process. They shouldn't be intermixed with, while they're waiting for approvals, it shouldn't be done. They could do it separately after their approval. So my question is, if that wasn't acceptable, why was it acceptable for the township to accept donations from the quarry for stone when they have open applications? Isn't that kind of the same thing?
Completely apples and oranges.
How's that apples and oranges?
That's just, what you're talking about, what the land use board attorney was saying, and correctly so, is you could not incorporate the offer of contribution for a ladder truck, basically, because there's no high buildings, into a condition of approval.
No, that's not what he said. He said it
That's the
couldn't
law.
happen.
Well, I don't know what he said, but that's the
He
law.
said it couldn't happen while they had the
It could
process going
absolutely
on.
happen.
What are you referring to?
It can't be a condition of approval in the land use, even if it's voluntary, in the resolution of approval. But the next day, while that approval was still pending, they certainly could have written that check. which is
That's not the way I understand what
Well,
he said. He said after approvals were complete.
Well, that's what he's trying to say, and that's what it is.
Either way, I brought this up before, I believe Steve wasn't here. I'd like someone else, Steve, since you oversee the road department, you don't have any issues with accepting donations from the quarry for, while they have open applications?
I personally don't know.
Controversial
No.
applications, with so many residents are upset about what's going on? You don't
No,
see
because
that as a negative
that's not
play.
gonna change the Highlands, certainly not gonna change the Highlands' mind if they decided to give it some gravel. And I don't think it would change my mind either. If the application is something I don't agree with, I will say it's something, I don't care. They could give us well, if they give us $10 million, they gotta take that back. But seriously,
It's kind of obnoxious to suggest that our land use board and this council would basically be bribed by some material.
yeah, we're not being
Not only
bought, yeah.
that, as I indicated repeatedly, Kevin, and again, you know, I accept your points when they're valid, but to sit up here and basically slander us, and you know all of us, kind of irritates me. And I also told you, I specifically sent a letter at the mayor's request, because the mayor called me and said, Kevin, is this okay? I said, yes, I don't see an issue with it. By the way, this has happened many times over the years, we've had other washouts. And I specifically sent a letter to their attorney saying, hey, we appreciate the offer, we're more than happy to take advantage of it. That's many tons of material that these taxpayers don't have to pay for. But obviously, as you know, there's no quid pro quo, and it's not connected to the application. That's in writing and it's out there. I get tired of beating the dead horse on that. I'm done with that
You
issue.
can write anything you want.
I'm done with that
Any way
issue.
you want.
We're done with that issue.
You can
Move
call it
on.
what you want.
Move on.
Donation or bribe.
That's fine.
And
You can
if
think
the rest
of it
council
whatever you
members
want.
See it that way, you've been in politics too long.
Well,
And I'd also like to add, the quarry also tried to make a donation to the fire department. They at least had enough sense to not accept it. You know, and prior donations from the quarry were not while they had open site plan changes.
so those guys were for
Controversial site plan
licenses every
changes.
2 or 3 years.
While we're on the quarry, is the quarry new ordinance available to the public for review?
It's not, no action's been taken on it, but you're certainly welcome to take a look at it. I don't have a problem with that. In fact, I think it's been generally circulated.
Hasn't been circulated. We were told that it had to be introduced.
Well, no, Wanda correctly indicated before anything comes to the council, whether our meeting packages, before they're acted upon by the council, they're not subject to being disseminated. But it's been subsequently been at least looked at by the council, it's been sent to the land use board. If you would like a copy of that, that's fine.
So it's available for review now?
Yeah, although again, I wouldn't spend much time with it because as Councilman Malvin just said, that's gonna be tied into a mini re-exam and they're making changes to that. But you're welcome to have the rough draft that I circulated, sure, just Wanda can email it to you, or I can send you.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
All right, any other public comments? Seeing none, we need
That sheet's here, well, it's actually not public, but I won't. I just want to thank the council and everybody for that proclamation of all. Of course, as from the family and as for the fire company family, he meant a lot to us. And I think that was nice that you guys did that. I'd like to appreciate, say thank you to that. And well, before you do executive, if you want to check out the truck, it'll be out there. And maybe Melanie could explain what the beaver is all about. She drew it. She did a great job. Well, that's good.
to, how about we call executive session and then we'll go our way out, check it out, and out, back in.
Do you want to just call a 5-minute recess to go look at it and then come back in and do it?
All right, we'll call a 5-minute recess.
No action.
Right.
Mr. and whoever-
Yes, there was action, it's not on what I need to talk about.
How's everyone else going down there?
I want this conversation, but then
It's not bar stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Because Kevin Benbrook said he doesn't need to be here, so he's not coming back.
okay,
Motion to move to executive session.
Second.
and all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Do we have to go in the back room, or we have to ask, Kevin Snyder to leave?
No, they do the back.
You need me to go?
Well, we're not gonna take any action afterwards, we're just gonna adjourn the meeting,
Okay.
so there won't be any more.
Do you have something too? You need Kevin for that?
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
See you, Kevin.
Hi, Kevin.
Right.
Okay, motion to return?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Hi.
Motion to adjourn?
Okay.
So moved.
All right, good
Aye.
night, everybody, thanks.
Didn't ask for aye. Aye.
Aye, all in favor?
I-